Welcome back to Reddit Echoes, where kind people get burned, and terrible people somehow convince themselves they're the victims. Today, I've got 3 stories that'll make you laugh, clench your jaw, and then breathe a deeply satisfying sigh of revenge in that exact order. In our first story, a wife agrees to explore something sensitive, to please her husband only to discover what he truly wanted wasn't her at all. Story 2. A boyfriend turns his girlfriend's private moans into a secret podcast for his buddies. And trust me, you'll love how she gets her payback. And finally, a wife who didn't just divorce her cheating husband. She obliterated his little affair fantasy with surgical precision and brutal satisfaction. Trust me, you won't want to miss a single second. Story 1. I tried butt stuff for the first time with my husband, and now I'm preparing for divorce. I'm 43. My husband is 45. We've been married for 17 years, and one of the things that kept our marriage strong was our openness, especially when it came to sex. We used to be that couple, the kind that discussed every detail from positions to boundaries, from never gonna try this to, if you like it, I'll try it. Back when we first got married, we would literally sit down and talk before having sex, like we were drafting some kind of strategic agreement. Sounds weird, but honestly, it made me feel safe and respected. Until 2 weeks ago. Out of nowhere, my husband asked me, "Have you ever thought about trying butt stuff?" I hesitated. I'd never done it before, but I wasn't totally against the idea either. So we did our research articles, forums, instructional videos from those shady sites you immediately delete from your browser history afterward. We prepped thoroughly, cleaning, relaxing lube just like the guide said. And honestly, it wasn't bad. It was actually better than I expected. He was gentle, kept checking in with me, and I felt cared for. Until 30 seconds after we finished, I was hit by the most intense wave of abdominal pain. Not the usual kind of stomach ache. The kind that screams, "If I don't make it to the toilet in 15 seconds, this carpet is getting destroyed." I jumped up completely naked and mentally disoriented and ran straight to the bathroom. He was halfway through getting dressed, staring at me like I was malfunctioning. He called out, "You okay?" I laughed and said, "Yeah. Just sitting on the toilet naked thanks to the physical aftermath of butt stuff." Totally normal, apparently. I thought he'd laugh. But he didn't. Just silence. Then footsteps. Backing away. I cracked the door open and saw my husband, the same man who had just made love to me with so much care less than a minute ago, looking at me like I had just murdered his pet. Then he said, Was there poop in there when I was inside you?" I froze. I thought he was joking, so I tried to lighten the mood and said, "Well, at least it politely waited until you were done." But he wasn't joking. He started yelling at me, asking why I didn't clean better, why I didn't double-check, why I was being irresponsible with his experience. In the end, he grabbed his pillow and went to sleep on the couch. Me still sitting on the toilet naked, shocked, angry, and borderline nauseous. The next morning, he left early for work. I texted him, no reply. I called, ignored. I called my sister, she laughed until I said no, he's actually mad about it. I left a note telling him I'd stay at her place for a few days so we could both think. 36 hours later, he texted, "Come home. I want to talk." I returned, opened the door to find him holding flowers, wearing an apron, making pancakes like some husband out of a sitcom. I sat down and asked bluntly, "Why did you freak out?" That's literally something everyone warns is normal with butt stuff." He lowered his head, then slipped up. "It wasn't like in the videos." "Wait, what videos?" I looked at him. "What videos? You said this was your first time." He stammered, then admitted that actually he'd been watching a lot of butt stuff, but between men. And he had cheated with a male co-worker, 26 years old. I sat in silence. Not because he's bisexual, my sister's happily married to her wife, but because he used me as a test dummy. He didn't make love to me as his wife. He used me as a stand-in for someone else to fulfill a craving he had been secretly nurturing. I stood up, calmly said, "If you had told me you were confused, I would have stood by you. But you didn't. You lied. You cheated. And now you want me to just forgive you." He dropped to his knees, begged, cried. And then, as a final slap, he shouted, "You're being biphobic?" I stayed silent, grabbed my phone wallet coat, walked out the door. My sister is bisexual and she's never deceived anyone. The problem isn't who you love, it's how you treat the person you said you loved. I've spoken to a lawyer. I'm preparing for divorce. And if you're wondering, do I feel like an awful person for needing to poop after sex? No, I feel like an awful person for sleeping with a man who didn't deserve me. Story 2. My boyfriend recorded my moans and sent them to his friends. I'm 25, and I used to think I'd met the one. His name was Aaron, 27 years old, tall, attractive, funny, and, well, let's just say things in the bedroom were more than satisfying. At first, everything was perfect. We clicked on every level emotionally, physically. Every time we were intimate, I felt desired. I felt loved. Until he started whispering things like, "Louder, say my name, scream it." At first, I didn't think much of it. Everyone has their preferences, right? But over time, it stopped being a request. It became a demand, practically an order. Louder, louder, like in the movies. I started to feel detached, like I wasn't his girlfriend anymore, just an actress trying to follow some poorly written script. I brought it up with him. This feels weird. I feel like I'm performing, not making love. Aaron laughed it off. "Come on, babe. It's just a kink. Don't be so serious." I figured fine. If it makes him happy, I'll play along a little, until one night. And if there's one thing life has taught me, it's this: never use your boyfriend's laptop. My laptop had crashed, so I borrowed Aaron's to check an email. While using it, I stumbled across a folder titled Audio Archive. My gut clenched. I clicked it. The first file, 2024-11-17 audio.mem4a. I hit play and froze. It was me, moaning, saying his name. A chill went through my entire body. I remembered that night over a month ago. It was the first time I really tried to be loud for him like he asked. No video, just audio. But that was more than enough. I shut the laptop, heart pounding, and walked into the living room. "Aaron, did you record me while we were having sex?" He looked at me. Didn't deny it. Didn't even look scared. Just annoyed he got caught. "Yeah, but it's just audio. No video. So what's the big deal?" I was speechless. "You shared it with your friends too, didn't you?" Silence. I opened his Discord group chat. I remembered the password because he once let me log in for gaming. The messages were still there. His friend's El Mau bro sounds like a Jav scene. Damn, those moans are... He'd sent the file, multiple files, with emojis like, and I turned to him. "You know, I used to think you were a decent guy. Turns out you're just a sick little boy bragging about your sex life like it's some kind of achievement." I kicked him out of my house, blocked him everywhere. Then I filed a police report for recording and distributing intimate content without consent. His friends messaged me afterward asking me to chill. He's really broken up about this. It was just a joke. Oh, a joke. Let's see how hard he laughs when the cops come knocking about privacy laws. And if you're thinking, geez, OP, maybe you're overreacting. I'm sorry, but I'm not a prop for someone's messed up fantasies. I'm not some trophy to be shown off in a group chat like a perverted highlight reel. Recording your partner without consent, sharing it with friends. I don't care if there was a camera involved or not. You just torched your own future. Story 3. I texted the husband of my husband's mistress, and I regret nothing. I'm 30. My husband Adam is 29. We had a stable, normal marriage until Hannah came along. 2 years ago, I discovered a long thread of messages between Adam and Hannah, one of his co-workers. Nothing too explicit, but enough for my gut to smell betrayal. I confronted him. Adam said she's just a friend. You're overthinking it. I warned him don't continue. I'm not forbidding anything, I'm asking for transparency. He nodded and kept texting, in secret, behind my back. 3 months ago, Adam came home and said, I think I have feelings for Hannah. Not shocked, just disappointed. Still, I tried. I suggested couples counseling. I even wrote a letter to Hannah, a polite warning. I know what you two are doing. I haven't told your husband, but if I have to, I won't hesitate. She panicked, told Adam I was threatening her, and Adam still texting her every night like a teenager with a crush. Then one day, while Adam was out walking the dog, I checked his phone. Message from Hannah. So how do you want our first date to be? I dreamed about you. Adam responded with heart emojis and a few scheduling ideas for their date. I sat still for a moment. When he came back inside, I handed him the phone. Said nothing. He read it. Face went pale. I said, we're done, and I get to decide how this ends. The next morning, I sent out emails and texts. To my mother-in-law, your son is lying in your guest room while sexting a married woman. To Adam's brother, better prep the guest room. He's moving in. To Hannah's husband, Joe. A detailed email listing every message, every meetup, every plan. I also sent a copy of that email to Hannah herself with a final note. I don't need to hear a single excuse from you ever again. Adam went absolutely feral. You're ruining everything. You emailed Hannah at her work address. She could lose her job. Oh, now you care. Where was all that concern when you were hooking up with your coworker? His mom called, screaming that if Adam ended up hurting himself, his blood would be on my hands. I stayed silent. Sorry to hear that. Then I blocked her. I have never felt more satisfied in my life. I'm not someone who loses their temper easily, but if you stab me in the back and expect me to stay quiet, you picked the wrong woman. So there you have it. 3 stories, 3 kinds of betrayal, and 3 comebacks so satisfying I bet you clapped alone in the dark. Now it's your turn. Do you think the husband in the first story was just naively confused, or a master emotional manipulator? Have you ever had your privacy violated like in story 2? And if you were the wife in the last story, would you have done the same or gone even more savage? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and if you want more stories like this, hit that bell so you never miss an upload. And remember, if you have to ask, am I the asshole? Chances are, you already know the answer.